Okay, now I'm going to do a demo on cutting with an X-acto blade. So if you have access to an X-acto blade, or you just want to challenge yourself more, this is some tips, some rules on what to do with it. Now, number one, obviously, you have to be very careful with it. They're very sharp. And just like with scissors, you are going to want to move very slowly. Now, the nice thing about X-acto blades is you have way more control, and you can do some really nice detail work with it. So if you wanted to add furniture silhouettes with this, you most definitely could. Be careful if you're cutting towards yourself, because you don't want it to slip. Always be mindful of how much pressure you're putting on the paper, because you don't need a whole lot to cut. And just like last time with the scissors, do not cut too much off, because you can always go back in and cut more. Now, if you get hurt, if you get a cut while doing this, make sure you go to the sink. Even if it's at school, make sure you go to the sink, wash it out, and then either come to me or Mrs. Berry for a Band-Aid. If you're at home, same thing, just, make sure you have Band-Aids. Another thing you have to be really careful about with X-acto blades is it's really easy for them to slip and then cut another part of your piece off. So if you notice, I'm trying to be extra careful around the shoe because I don't want to have to deal with attaching it back on or figuring something else out. It's always better to just be more precise with your movements than to have to problem solve later on. Now, one thing I like to do is I like flipping it over and seeing how the silhouette is coming along so far, if it's looking how I want it to look. Now, it's gonna look a little weird initially when you don't have everything done yet, but the more you go, the more it's gonna, look like a person. Another awesome thing about X-acto blades is you can get inside your drawing, so you're not stuck with just doing a silhouette. You can go in your drawing and cut out holes and stuff, spaces where there may be arms or legs, like right here. And again, I recommend using a white pencil if you have access to one on your dark paper, because it makes it a lot easier to know where you're cutting, and you just take away that one factor of not knowing exactly where everything is. I definitely recommend using a tougher paper like cardstock, or maybe coloring one of the pages in your sketchbook and then using that as your paper with paint or watercolor or pencil or something. Don't do charcoal because that's just going to be extremely messy. But you can also just use old paper you have lying around. Like if you have an old newspaper and you want to use that to carve out your silhouette, you are more than welcome to. I would love to see you guys be really creative with your paper choices. Make sure you can see your end point so you don't cut through a part that you didn't mean to. Alright, so when we flip it over, it looks a lot more like a person. So I know I'm on the right track. I recommend doing chunks at a time. Because then you can just go in and do little bits afterwards. Something is being pulled off, I like to just take it with my X-Acto blade and move it that way. So I'm not having to pick it up with my fingers too much. Okay, and now that I have everything cut out, I turn it around to see how it looks. But please remember to be very careful when you're using X-Acto blades. You can get really hurt, I speak from experience, if you are not careful. And you don't have to always cut from one side. You can flip it and then cut it that way. If something's extruding a bit, you're going to want to hold on to part of it and put pressure down when you cut so that you don't accidentally tear it off. Now something you can do a combination of both scissors and X-Acto blades if you want. Do not feel pigeonholed into one single type of cutting medium. And that is how you do a silhouette with an X-Acto blade.